We are here with Pheano Black. Woo!
Hello, nice to be here.
Yeah, where are we?
At Pro Tour Lille, France. Just came off of a rough loss in top 8. Punted turn 1, at least I'm consistent. Here to do a deck profile of my Prism deck that I played this weekend.
Yes, man, let's do it. We have someone here too. Where?
My little travel buddy. Picked him up at Pokemon Worlds in London. That was a great event for anyone that missed it out on it. Pokemon, super fun. They run the best events. I didn't go to play. I just came to hang out. It was so good.
Yes. And yeah, I mean, in the background, the calling is still running, but you were in the top 8. Like, tell us before we jump into the deck, like, how was your experience there?
So I started off first pot of draft. I generally just force Icelander because I'm just handed a fucking perfect Icelander deck every draft, and I got that. I didn't pick up the chess piece, and of course round 1 I faced the mirror, and he had AB, I didn't, so I lost. I think I got him to like 1 and then died. If I had one more piece of Quell or one piece of AB, I would have been fine, but I didn't see any equipment that pod. And then I think there's like a Congo line of like 4 5s in a row or something. So I just faced 5-5 and just smushed both of them because their decks were they just cannibalized each other. They all had cards that they just didn't want in their decks. And then went to the classic constructed portion. I faced a Prism mirror round 1. I believe it was the other Prism in the top 8. I opened really bad. It was like all red War Tunes, and then I didn't really see any auras for the rest of the game. I drew all my poppers together in one hand. Ran really bad that game, and then he just ran me over. And then for the rest of the classic portion, I just faced 3 Vis. And then day 2, I wanted to draft Icelander again, but my pack one really weak. I just took like a random card out of the pack that was like kind of left me open. And then from what it looked like, every pack in that pod for pack 1 was very weak. Everyone was passing cards that was just, there's no great first picks left in the pack. Lots of bad yellows and stuff, nothing exciting. And also, no one wanted to pick a lane. No one took like a class card out of the pack for a very long time. It wasn't until like pick 8 that someone finally took a class card. So no one was telling me what they wanted to draft. Meanwhile, I opened my first pack and I was like, I don't want to draft Phi. Buddy, you're Phi. I just gave him 3 red head jabs. I told him, you're Phi. Get out, go play this deck. And then finally, person somewhere to my right said, I'm Icelander. So I was like, all right, whatever. I have like 2 cards for every hero. I'll just go Dromai because no one's going Dromai. And then the person directly across from me was the only other Dromai, so it was perfect. And I believe we both had the best decks in the pod because of that. And then pack 3, I got really rewarded. I think everyone to his right, kind of, I'm trying to remember the opposite, but the people that he's passing to, I think everyone he's passing to opened a dragon. So he didn't see the dragons, and they all came to me because no one was dragons that way. So I just got all these dragons in pack 3 and got really rewarded. I ended up facing him round 2, very close game. He's also a Prism player, so we had a really fun game together. Just he knew who I was, and we were just joking and laughing, having a good time. And then I faced 2 other Phis, and you know, the Phis that cannibalize each other, so they had weak decks, so just smushed them. One of them was like, look at me, I am the aggro deck, and I just smushed him turn 1 and put him to 10, and he was just like, oh god. And then the rest of the classic, I faced the Lexi that went 7-0 day 1. That was the game on stream. That was a really good game. I faced a Phi, and I think the other 2 were also Viserai. Viserai and Briar. The Briar is one of the Polish players in top cut right now. I'm spacing on his name. I'm bad with names. And the other one was Pablo. That was a really good game. I beat every single Viserai this weekend. That was a good matchup, apparently. And that was pretty much it. And then I already said I punted my finals. That was my experience with the weekend.
And how do you like it to be here with the European players and in Europe in general?
I mean, everyone in Europe has been really nice. As I said, I went to Pokemon, so I've been spending like 2 weeks in Europe. London was kind of, I had a really bad experience there outside of Pokemon. Just everything was going wrong, and all the food that we ended up getting was terrible, except for one fish and chip place, Golden Chippy. Shout out to Golden Chippy. Go try them out. So good I went there twice. I live in New England. I have a lot of fish. That was the best fish and chips I had in my life. But then in France, all the food, a bunch of the places were so good, I went back for seconds, then went back for thirds in the same sitting. I have just been an absolute fat ass this weekend. It's been great.
Oh, dude. But at least you can do a gorilla, man. Woo! Okay, man, let's jump into your deck. Show us Prism.
All right, so here's Prism, Luminaris, nothing to talk about there. I need Livia to sign these at some point. So this is a sideboard piece, and then these are core. We're basically these in every matchup. Dreamweavers is not that great right now. I considered it against Phi because the plan against Phi is to try to run them over with a couple of our red cards, and removing Phantasm can matter sometimes, but it was inconsistent. I didn't want to waste a sideboard slot on it, so I ended up not running it. So we're this in every matchup, except for the few that were these. This is for Runeblade and Wizard, obviously. And then we're pretty much just this in the mirror. It's just really important to get ahead on auras and just like find a round that you can double or triple aura them, and then they fall really far behind. Did not come up. Again, I only faced one mirror, and he just ran me over, so like it was completely irrelevant. None of my equipment would have mattered in that matchup. But generally, that's what this is for. You can also run this against Guardian if you feel like you don't need the extra block. But I find the only time that I can lose against Guardian is if they don't respect the auras and they just start trying to race me. They just go, we're not winning the aura race, so we're just going face all game and hoping that we get there. That's the only time we can lose that matchup, so I want to be insulated, because if they are respecting auras, I will win that game every time. So if they want to coin flip that on racing me, they can do that. I have armor. Fuck them.
Oh shit, yeah.
The legendary 2, Nick.
I mean, are you familiar now with it, or?
Actually, it's a different 2, Nick, because I sold my original 2, Nick, to Flukenbox. Shout out to Fluke.
Yeah, man, he's here too.
Yeah, I've been hanging out with him all weekend. Such a great guy. So funny. I love that guy. I rubbed his head for good luck last night. Didn't work.
42, man, that's right.
So, then we got our auras. We're playing all the blues. They're all good. They're fantastic. The fact that we don't have to pitch to play them, really important in the aggro matchups, because it lets us block out and then present an aura. We need them to go double aura in every matchup. They are just necessary in the deck. And then we got our yellow auras. This is where some of the decision making will happen sometimes of cuts, but I am playing every single one because my game plan in every single matchup other than Phi is to go auras. This one comes out sometimes. The 3 is basically for Briar, because I want to be able to blank their Channel Mount Heroic round. Other than that, it's usually 2, or not at all. Like, this kind of moves in and out of the side. These are pretty much in every single matchup, except for Phi. We board out some of the yellow ones because they don't block. Ideally, we'd like to board out all of this against Phi, because this is not what we want to be doing in that matchup, and we can't win the aura race. But that's too many cards to side out, so it is what it is. And then for the rest of our blues, I am running 21 blues. I like the extra blues where Viscera is really popular right now. I did go down to, what's math, 18 blues for a little bit. But with Viscera everywhere and me going auras in every matchup, I just wanted the consistency of being able to cast everything and be able to stop arcane damage when I needed to. And they still block 3s against the other aggro decks. They're not bad in any matchup, but when we're trying to like punch our opponent, it's not what we want. But it is what it is. Like they're fine. They do the job. And then for the rest of our heralds, put that down here. Oh yeah, playmat signed by all the top 8. Signed by Alex over here, and then I'm slowly getting it signed by the casters, the judges, and then I'm gonna try to see if I can catch James White and have him sign in the middle. I wasn't gonna do that, but then I was like, top 8. I kind of want to preserve the memory. This is so cool. Probably never going to happen again. I want to live it up while I can. And we got our yellow heralds. Nothing really interesting to talk about here. They're yellow heralds. They block, they pitch, they sometimes cast. War Tune's really the only one that matters. Erudition we never get to actually play. If we get to play that, that's because something went wrong for our opponent usually. Like we got down a Pierce and a Passing, and they just let us hit them for 7, no Phantasm. Or we burned through our armor, or we tricked them into blocking with something earlier in the chain. Or maybe we throw something at them and they're like, oh, my hand isn't that great. I guess I'll block because I'm going to spend my round punching your aura. And then you're like, okay, but Tunic counter Erudition? How about that? You weren't planning on another Herald coming. Can I have the rest of your hand, please? So usually it doesn't have text, but sometimes, sometimes it's the best card in the deck. And then for our red Heralds, the best one's the War Tunes. War Tune's the only Herald in the deck that actually matters. 1 for 7, way too efficient. It's what catches us up in the aggro matches where we're like kind of behind, getting down to auras, and then we just have this round where we go like yellow pitch, 14, and they're like, you're not supposed to do that much damage. Okay, that sucks. Tunic counter, 21. I'm the aggro deck now. Also, here's the auras coming in afterwards. Pretty much all of this is a part of the core. Sometimes we board out like a random pitch card, just like, oh, we don't need that in this matchup. We'll take that out because we're trying to do other things. But and then some of our sideboard cards, 2 Soul Shield. I shaved 1 just for I needed to find room for other things. I do like 3, but I wasn't using it in a lot of matchups. That all you got. This card underperformed grossly because all the small attacks kept going into my auras. So like against a Rosetta, this has no text. The Rosetta kills the aura. I never get to use it. So against Runeblade, this card is just a Herald, basically, that's like a yellow block 3 that sometimes has other text, but generally it doesn't. It's fine. You need it versus Phi. It's like, would I rather play this or a Herald of Judgment or something? Like, neither of these cards really matter. They're yellow block 3 that sometimes have text. And then 3 Sink Below. I just like the sinks. I don't like Fates and other shenanigans like that because you end up bricking. I almost lost a couple games because of that. Like against the Phi, I had a round where I went Phantasmaclasm and he had the Popper. I took the Popper out of his hand and then his hand didn't work anymore, so he's like, well, I don't have a round anyways. Block out the Phantasmaclasm. And I did like what I said a second ago. I threw an Erudition afterwards. He gave me the last card in his hand and 2 pieces of armor. And then I drew up, and my hand was that and some other random card that I couldn't play. I think it was like a yellow Triumph or something. Like, not great. Blue Triumph, that's what it was. And then I already had an extra card in my hand. It was a Sink Below in Arsenal. So I had all 3 Sink Belows. I played one of the Sink Belows, bottoming the other Sink Below, drew a blue aura, played the other Sink Below, bottoming the other card in my hand, drew another blue aura, so I'm like, this is not getting better. And then I played the That's All You Got, drew an Arclight Sentinel. I was like, all right, I'll pitch both these blue auras and play the Arclight. And it was fine, but I was like, that's one way to lose tempo after stealing your entire opponent's hand. Something like that happened later in that game too, and I was like, oh my god, deck, stop! Why do you do this to me? Never lucky. And then the last of our sideboard here. These are for Phi. Where's the other one? Somewhere over here. There it is. We can't play auras, so we just have to hope that we high roll them in race, which is what happened. Not a lot of decks can beat a 3-card 18, or getting to throw an Erudition in here too. Like, one of the big ways to win the matchup is going Erudition, they block it, and then he goes second Erudition, and they just lose the game from there. You're too far ahead. You throw even more stuff at them. Things just start falling apart really quickly for them, and you stole their armor on top of that. So, like, they already blocked with the card, they just lost their armor, then you drew cards, dealt damage, dealt more damage. It catches you so far ahead. But at the end of the day, I have to high roll them or hope they low roll and just get to play the game normally. I hate that matchup, it's cursed. And then we got some poppers, Prism mirrors. This has text sometimes in the aggro matches, because when we're playing, not this idiot, but our other heralds, they're like, that's just damage, no blocks. and then it goes to our soul. We end up building a lot of soul, and we get to just go 0 for 7 later in the game. Because they're not respecting our damage. They're like, yeah, whatever. A blue war tune, I sleep. Take 5. Okay, but what about the 7? Ah! And then Prismatic Shield. I want to play 3 of these, but I needed to make room for the Phi cards. I only faced 1 mirror, so it didn't really matter. I did not cast this card a single time this weekend. It's for Guardian also. Didn't face a single Guardian all weekend. Every single round, pretty much, there was an Oldhim to my left and right, but not in front of me. And then the rest of day 2, they were all like 1 seat below me of like the bracketing, and then Cody just knocked them all out. He faced, I think, 4 Oldhims in a row and knocked all of them out of top 8, potentially. So I was like, Cody, why would you do this to me? I needed these Oldhims in top cut. I needed my free wins. So that's the deck. I don't know. Auras is good into almost every matchup at Phi. Do you have any questions for me on anything?
Yeah, for sure. How do you feel about when Prism is gone soon?
I mean, I already got... Let's just say there's a cold storm coming. Well,
yeah, you really like playing Icelander too, right?
I like the instant speed control decks. It's tempo control. This is a different style of tempo control where, like, I'm not interacting with you in the same way as like a blue control deck in Magic, but kind of am, where I'm like making you make decisions that are not what you want to be doing, and then forcing you into weird spots and giving you lots of like forked decision trees where you can make mistakes, and eventually you might make a wrong one, and then I'll punish you for that. Yeah. I like instant speed decks like that. You know, the blue player in me, and she's a blue line deck, so, and she's cute. Got to play the cute decks.
Yeah, she's cute too. That's right. You also played a lot of other card games before you joined Flesh and Blood. Maybe you want to tell us a little bit from a Yu-Gi-Oh! And Magic experience. Like, how do you like Flesh and Blood in comparison to those games?
Well, not much to say about Yu-Gi-Oh! That game is awful. It is probably the worst card game I've ever played. I played it for like maybe 15 years, probably due to just Stockholm Syndrome. It's just, the game's all high-rolling RNG, let me just play my game and storm off. Not fun, not interactive, no decision-making really other than sequencing your cards. It's not the game I want to play. And then I played Force of Will for a long time. That game was really fun. It's like French vanilla Magic. It's like Magic without Mana Screw, because your lands are outside of your deck, and you just put a land into play every turn, basically. So the gameplay is very good. Like, the bones are very good, but then I didn't like the card balance after a while, and some like things the company was doing of how they were running things. I still really liked the game, but so I stopped playing. The meta got really bad for a while. Like, I got out right before there was a turn 1 kill deck. Just turn 1, you're dead. Just game's over. We 5-minute game. I'm not interested in that either. And I played Magic for a long time. I played Magic on and off since I was a kid. Like 7th edition I started playing, but I never consistently played Magic. Most of my Magic has just been a casual EDH player, just playing with my friends. And the reason I got into Flesh and... The reason I got...
You're good. Don't be so loud.
The reason I got into Flesh and Blood was because my Magic group fell apart after COVID. The store we all played at closed due to everything. And then after a year and a half of no one getting together to play, everyone's life kind of changed and their schedules were different. So no one really had the time to get together anymore, and they kind of lost interest. I worked really hard to try to get them to come back together, and we got back together a couple times, but it was never consistent. And then I discovered this game, and this is one of the most well-balanced games I've ever played. And the company cares. Like, you can tell there's a lot of love and labor of love with the game, and they care when something's good or when something's bad, and they want the player experience to be good. They want the collector side to be good. Like, they have a vested interest. It's not just how much money can we print and milk our community, and just they'll buy whatever slop we throw in there. No, they want things to be good, and you can see they care and they love. It's very refreshing coming from other games where they just don't care. Yu-Gi-Oh! They don't care. print a broken card, reprint the broken card that was $100 because they'll have to buy it, reprint it again, now ban it, now power creep it, and milk them, milk them, milk them. How much money can we make? We don't care if it's balanced. It's a great game. I love it.
Yeah, for any last words, do you want to shout out anyone or tell the community any last sentence?
Well, hopefully I get to play Prism at Nationals and Worlds. Hopefully, you Prism players, you better keep inting. We can't let her go. We're holding on. 2 points. Keep it up. I don't know, shout out to a couple of the great people that were here today. Alex, Mansant, Fluke, God, I can't think of everyone. I met so many great people today, but everyone's been fantastic. Shout out to the judge staff. This has been a very well-run event. No one ever gives the staff the credit. It's always the applause for the players at top and everything. They worked so hard. They've run such a great event, and I appreciate that. Things running smoothly is always great. And then also them taking feedback from previous events and applying it to this one. Like there's a bunch of fixes from Nationals I recommended to them of like things that were off about how they did the draft that they needed to remedy for the future, and all of them were implemented this weekend, and it was great to see them taking the feedback and then how can we apply it and try to run the best event possible.
Okay, man. Thank you so much. I'm looking forward to meet you again.
See you at Worlds.